Hi friends, welcome back. So my name is Aina and I'm a practicing pharmacist working in cancer treatment. Today I'm going to react to a clip of NileRed on Trash Taste talking about how to make a certain drug. I really love watching Trash Taste videos and have been following them since season 1. And I also really enjoy watching NileRed's videos. I think he's super talented and his videos are insane. I got super excited when they got together and they're talking about a pharmaceutical topic, so I can't wait to react to this, so let's get started. By the way, I've already seen this video when it first came out and I remember it being really funny.
Another question I have is, you say chemicals are restricted, right? Okay, maybe this is like a bad question to ask, or maybe this is a question where it's like, don't ask that question. Let's say there's a chemical that is very prohibited, but you can buy 2 other scary chemicals that can make the very scary banned chemical. How does that work? Are you like, if you buy the chemical, it's like, you better not make this with it?
Well, if it's in the US,
yeah,
like what in the case for meth, they just
Okay, we're getting started.
why? Okay, why meth? Okay, go.
Because meth is like probably one of the most the one thing that people synthesize the most. Like people also synthesize cocaine and like all this other stuff. It's just that meth, for whatever reason, is like the most well known that people make it.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I think cocaine is actually plant-based. It does need to go through a series of chemical reactions and transformations to make it what it is. But I believe the original form is from some sort of cocoa leaves, whereas methamphetamine is completely man-made. Crystal meth is just the common name and that's just what we call it. But the actual chemical name is methamphetamine. It's made by mixing different stimulants together and other chemicals.
For whatever reason.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's the most well-known. Like, if I were to say like, people make like synthesized cocaine, you're probably like, probably. Whereas like, it's kind of a meme that people make meth.
Okay. That's a meme.
But it's like what they did was, it's kind of for a long time, it was like a race between the sketchy chemists and the government.
Yeah.
So like,
It's funny when he says sketchy chemist, because I think in some part of the world, people actually call pharmacists chemists.
at first they're like, okay, meth is illegal. And the guy's like, hey, well, I got the ingredients for meth and these aren't illegal, so I'm just gonna make it. I can buy these and I can make it.
Right.
Then the government goes, okay, those chemicals are illegal.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, I have 2 chemicals that can make that chemical.
Right.
And
So
would just,
far.
so they would just keep going down the chain.
Yeah. Right.
And with meth, it's gone so far.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. And it's really interesting that they're mentioning this, how there's a race happening with the illicit drug makers and the regulators and see who can take the lead, right? Actually, there's a really commonly used drug. I'm sure everyone that's watching this video have at least used it themselves or their family members have used it, and it's very easily accessible. The drug is called pseudoephedrine and it's found in many over-the-counter cough and cold or allergy products. It's used as a nasal decongestant, so it's for when you have a stuffy nose, either if you have a cold or allergy. But in Canada, at least, it's really hard to find it as a single agent. It's usually sold in combination with something else mixed into the pill. And the purpose of that is just to make it harder for people to abuse the drug and make it into crystal meth. The normal dose for pseudoephedrine is usually 60 to 120 milligrams, and you can take it twice a day. And it's usually combined with drugs like acetaminophen, which is Tylenol for pain and fever, or it's in a combination with antihistamines like diphenhydramine, and that's usually for allergy. And it can also stimulate your central nervous system, which is what we call CNS, and that includes your brain. And that's what gives this drug the side effects of excitability, insomnia, and stimulation. Why is it possible that pseudoephedrine can do this? Well, pseudoephedrine is in the amphetamine drug class, and just judging by the name of methamphetamine, you'll notice that these 2 drugs are actually in the same family. That's what we call a precursor in pharmaceutical sciences. So pseudoephedrine is actually a precursor to meth. And that's also why products containing pseudoephedrine all have a mild stimulating effects. So when you buy a product that contains pseudoephedrine and you take it to your pharmacist, a good pharmacist might tell you that if you take this too close to bedtime, you might have a hard time falling asleep.
Like it's like you're like sometimes like I think it's like 4 things down the line.
Right.
And then you get to the point where it's just like such an obscure chemical.
So in Canada currently, you can only buy pseudoephedrine as Schedule 2, which means it's sold behind the counter in pharmacies. You can't buy it as a self-selection item. However, if it's in a combination product, it is considered Schedule 3, so it has to be sold within a pharmacy, but you can do self-selection. And it was only in 2005 when Canada has decided to move single-agent pseudoephedrine to behind the counter. So it must mean that prior to that, you can just buy pseudoephedrine by itself over the counter or maybe even in grocery stores or 7-Elevens when it's unregulated.
That you can only buy it from a chemical company,
Right.
because it's just like a petrochem, like made in industry.
Right.
There's almost no way for you to just
Make it.
Make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you want to buy it from a chemical company, they will go like, what are you using it for? And they'll write your name down and they'll only let you buy a certain amount.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, pseudoephedrine is probably one of the many ingredients needed to synthesize crystal meth. So the other ingredients probably are way harder to access than pseudoephedrine.
Right.
But there are still ways around it, of course. Like there's still, I'm saying like the illegal, like the
So funny.
people who are,
It's like, not that I would know.
the people who are synthesizing meth,
I mean,
have
obviously, it's
found
still being
other
made.
ways
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
to do it.
So if you try to buy pseudoephedrine from a pharmacy, technically it is a scheduled product. So that means the pharmacist should offer you consultation. When we do that, we usually also keep an eye on how many boxes someone has bought. I mean, if I were to see someone grabbing 10 boxes off the shelf for pseudoephedrine, I would be a little bit alarmed. Not that I've seen that before. And single-agent pseudoephedrine has to be sold behind the counter, so our pharmacy staff needs to actually bring it out and sell it to you. So if someone is asking for many boxes at the same time, usually that is an alarming sign. But like Nigel said, there are ways around it, right? If you send 10 different people to come in to grab 10 boxes, I'm not gonna know that they're all friends and they're trying to make meth together. So yeah, definitely there's still gaps in the regulation.
Yeah, obviously the fact that, people are still making it, they have
Well,
to
and
be
sometimes
aware.
it doesn't even matter that like 4 chemicals down it's banned.
Yeah.
They just illegally import either the meth itself
From another country or
or
something.
they just illegally import the one ingredient lower.
One ingredient, right?
And a lot of it's from China. I think China would, not to call them out. I think because they
That's really interesting to me. I didn't know that, but I can't say I'm surprised actually. I know there's actually a really big black market in China for illegal drugs and import-export of illicit drugs, especially down at the southwest province of Yunnan. I think it's bordering Vietnam and Laos, and I think there's a ton of drug cartel and, just illicit drug import and export going on there. Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised when Nigel said China is a big importer of illegal drugs.
they would just, I forget a friend who was involved, like he knew a lot about it. He didn't make any.
That's such a funny sentence.
It's like, I know a lot about
Yeah.
cocaine.
Okay,
It's like,
okay.
not that I make it or
Officer,
use
Okay,
it.
so
I don't
continue.
He would just say that like it was a big thing on like Chinese websites
Yeah.
that they would make, I don't know, they would advertise it as stuff, like stuff that's very close to drugs,
Right.
but as something else, and then you could buy that. But I honestly don't know too much about
Is it like the herb grinders? And like
It
that
would-
kind of
yeah.
advertising?
well, so
It's like, it's not a bong, it's a water pipe.
Yeah.
well,
it's
like one
it's
thing
that.
that they would sell like designer drugs for a while. So like straight up like almost basically meth.
Oh my
but they
God.
would sell it for like research purposes, and you could just buy it in the U.S. because it wasn't a scheduled drug. I don't know all the
Jeez.
details about this, but they would also sell like the chemicals and stuff. You could find like sources, and like I said, my sketchy days on eBay, I didn't buy anything like that. But there was a guy who's like, "Tell me what you want, I can get you anything."
That's not what you want to hear. That's not what you want
Even
to
the stuff that was
Yeah, so prescription drugs work really weirdly in China. I think it's gotten better over the past few years. But prior to that, definitely anyone can just walk into a drugstore and select prescription drugs for themselves. So let's say if you have a heart condition, if you're diabetic, you don't need to go see the doctor. As long as you go online and look up, what drugs do I need to take if I'm diabetic, and you have the name of that drug, you can just walk into a drugstore and buy that, and no one's going to stop you or check to see if you have a prescription. So definitely things are a lot less regulated there. And I guess it's interesting to know that there's such a black market of these import of illegal drugs. Actually, when I used to work in a community pharmacy, I would get patients that are new immigrants from China, and they actually thought that they could just buy prescription medications without a prescription as long as they know the name of it and they're asking a pharmacist for it. But I would have to explain that, in Canada, you actually need to go see the doctor first, have a signed prescription for you, and then you can come to the pharmacy to buy the drug.
It's just listed on eBay. Shouldn't have been listed there.
Right.
What was like the craziest stuff you saw listed on eBay?
I forget. It was hydrazine.
What's hydrazine?
It's used for like rockets and stuff. But it's like, if you see what they use, like if you look up hydrazine,
It just comes out rockets.
no, there's people handling it are in like full body suits because it's a very not pleasant thing to deal with. And
Meanwhile, the FedEx guy's kicking it around.
above a certain percentage, it's like really bad.
Oh,
but
right,
so
okay.
I think it's I don't know if it's a gas or a liquid. It's pretty bad. So you usually sell it as like a 60% or something high concentration in water.
Yeah.
Right.
But the guy would just ship it in like an unmarked brown box in like plastic bottles. I never bought it. It's actually a regret. I was like, because I can't.
I wish I did. I wish I did.
Because it's hard. Like even though I can order chemicals.
Yeah.
I think when I wanted to order hydrazine, I had to go through all these.
Is it
I had to,
legal
like-
in Canada to have the chemical?
Again, there's no laws, but it's
I'm not sure what chemical companies he's talking about, but in pharmacy, we actually also need to order these chemicals in powder form to make compounds for our patients.
You
Try
can
to
own it,
order
but you
it.
can't order it.
Yeah.
well, if you try to order it from a chemical company, they will ask you like a lot of questions.
Right,
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like specifically, like, what are you using this for? And so some things can be a big pain to get.
Have you ever had someone reject you for chemicals where you've been like, hey, I'm just making this, and they're like,
There's one.
no.
I've had one company which they would not let us have an account and they wouldn't tell us why.
Huh.
And we think it's because they don't want their products to be shown on camera.
But you're not showing the
But
product,
then
you're
it's
showing
like
the
a
chemical.
pseudo endorsement, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't
I
like.
mean, it's not like you're saying, here we have bromium given by the kind people at Chemical Corp.
They also might not have
Montreal.
liked it because I kind of like.
They saw the anal lube video, maybe?
Yeah.
No, I just every time I used their product in the past, I'd always like
Shout
say
them out?
negatively.
Oh.
I think, and unfortunately, I had to
You
use
would
this
name the
product.
companies?
Yeah. But I only I said it because they're just the big thing is these chemical companies are really expensive.
And we also order them from certain chemical companies. And he's absolutely right. Some of these powders cost a lot of money. And that's why I'm not sure if you've ever bought a compounded product before from a pharmacy. They're usually a lot more expensive than a already made manufactured product.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So it's like, to give you an idea, there's one chemical I want to buy, like let's say 100 grams. If you buy from them, it's like, could be like $200. I bought it on eBay for $8. But they guarantee certain purity. The difference is the eBay one I had to purify myself. But it's like,
That's why I said NileRed's videos are insane, because he can purify things, he can synthesize things. And I guess that's why in the pharmaceutical industry, these chemicals cost so much, because when we buy it straight away from the chemical companies, we just use them in our compounds. We don't go through a purification process.
they're worth buying from. They're just very expensive for a lot of things.
This is insane.
So that's what I would complain about.
Okay.
You say like, oh, I had to purify myself. Like it's just like a thing that you just do.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, it's just like a simple thing to do, right?
in
like,
chemistry,
but to us,
it
it's
is.
just like
I think
Yeah, this
in
is-
chem,
this
it's like
is-
super normal.
This is like
Yeah.
the weirdest rabbit hole I think I've ever gone down
I think chemists
in this
are
podcast, I'll
the
be honest.
scariest scientists. Like they're the ones that I am just scared of the most.
Oh no,
Like I mentioned previously, in some parts of the world, pharmacists are actually called chemists. But I think I'm actually in awe of what a real chemist can do. As pharmacists, we usually just deal with how these drugs, which are chemicals, are applied to the human body and what it does when it enters the human system. Side effects, absorption, effectiveness on treating your disease. I would have no idea how to synthesize something or purify something. I mean, I'm sure I learned them in high school or university chemistry classes, but I wouldn't know how to apply them or use them in my daily life.
I believe
Like,
that
they're
after this
just-
conversation.
They're just
you know?
terrifying. Like I don't, because we just don't know what the fuck you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And then when we
I think
just
it depends
believe you.
what chemistry
Well,
you're
because
doing.
the thing is, like, you look at like the sciences and like with engineers, you can like a normal person can kind of follow along with what an engineer is doing, what he's building, because it's a lot of the times it serves a function.
But you can also like feel it and see what's going on.
exactly,
Like, it's
exactly.
real.
You can
Yeah,
see
that's the
what
problem.
It's doing.
I don't understand what's happening in chemistry.
Yeah. When you name a fucking chemical, I'm just like, does that burn your face off, or does that give you like a light tickle? Like, I have no idea what the fuck you're handling.
That's like the biggest challenge I find going into chem.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest challenges in pharmacy as well is we deal with what happens to the chemical after it enters the human body. So it's even less visual. And our understanding of the human body is still very limited even in our modern day of science. So it's definitely a difficult science subject, I would say.
It's like a game, except there's so much knowledge you need to just get started. Like organic, I think that's like how organic chemistry is.
Right.
It's like it's just a game with the most.
Except you need to read
Wait,
the
what is-
instruction
what
book
is-
and it's permanent.
It's like you have to study for like 3 years just to like
Play it.
start.
So that was my pharmacist reaction on NileRed talking about how to make crystal meth on Trash Taste. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know that you liked it. And leave a comment down below to tell me what I should react to next as a pharmacist. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.